Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Belmont Journal. I'm your host, Joanna Juvelis. And today in the studio, we have a very special guest, our new town moderator, Michael Crowley. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Joanna. It's good to see you again.
It's good to see you, too. I feel like old times when we used to host Belmont Journal together. You were the host and I was the guest. Now it's the flip. It's the reverse.
Well, and that's appropriate.
Well, I appreciate you coming in today. I thought it would be a good idea to tell our community how it's going for you in your new role. But first off, I want to read a description of what the town moderator role is for people watching who may not know what your responsibilities are. In Belmont, Massachusetts, the town moderator's role is to preside over town meeting, the town's legislative body, ensuring that the meeting runs smoothly and efficiently. This includes calling the meeting to order, facilitating debate, and ensuring that all votes are conducted fairly. The moderator also plays a key role in appointing members to various town committees, such as the Warrant Committee.
That's all true, Joanna.
So, Mike, I know how much you wanted this position. Mike Widmer ran unopposed for years until you came along. You ran against him in 2024. You didn't win, but you ran again the following year, this year, against Mark Polillo, and you did win, although it was a close race.
We call that a squeaker.
It was a very close race, yes. So why do you think you were the first person to come along and run for town moderator after nearly 17 years of Mike Widmer running unopposed?
You know, honestly, Joanna, I don't have any idea. When we moved here, the structure of town government was a new thing to our family, and I tried to get involved fairly quickly after we moved here. By running for town meeting, I became a Mike Widmer appointee on the Warrant Committee, and I've been on the school committee. I've tried to be involved, and I've tried.
That's for sure. You were definitely involved. But so why did you want town moderator? Why was that the next step for you?
So I mean, I view it as an important responsibility, and you know, it's important in a couple of different ways. We need to have a town meeting that's fair, and a town meeting in which people feel that they can speak their minds, and we would like that to be polite, of course. And we need to have for an outcome from town meeting that resembles what the people attending, the town meeting members, actually want to see. And I mean, that's a very important part of the job. The other important part of the job is appointments. The moderator makes some important appointments to the Warrant Committee, the Bylaw Review Committee. Most of the people serving on the Comprehensive Capital Budget Committee are moderator appointees, and then of course we have all of the building committees.
Right.
And it's an important role, and I thought I was up to it. And it is a one-year term, and I do believe that people should run for office in our community and try to make a difference. And that's what I've been trying to do.
Yeah. Well, I know since you were elected April 1st, how would you say your life has changed? What is it life like now, being the town moderator?
It's not a dramatic change, honestly. You know, I am more involved than I was as a simple town meeting member. There's a lot of work that
You feel like a celebrity, Mike?
No, I don't, and I'm not. But there is a lot of work that goes into planning town meeting. That's occupied a lot of time over two different town meetings. First, the annual town meeting in the spring, which was several nights, and then our special town meeting, which was just one night that we had this past week.
Most recently, July 23rd, right?
And I'm also working on I'm working on appointments, both trying to stir up interest and find people that I think would be good, but also because I committed to creating a moderators advisory committee. That's something I'm also working on getting set up. And one of the things that I want that committee to do is to help me interview the various people
Oh, really?
who might be, who are potential candidates for positions on the various committees.
So where are you at in that process of getting your advisory committee together? Is that, because you do have some appointments to make, right?
I do. And
What appointments do you have to make?
well, I have a total well, I have 5 potential vacancies on the warrant committee. 2 of those are people who would like to be reappointed, and of course, I will seriously consider reappointments. But beyond those 2, we also have 3 positions for which there's no candidate except for those who may step forward or the people that I may identify and ask if they would consider applying.
That's what I was going to ask you. How do you decide who to appoint if no one applies?
Well, so I think we will have enough people to apply eventually. The way this process is working out, we've got some people who've been appointed by precincts to the Moderators Advisory Committee, and I'm working with some of the other precincts to have meetings where they can pick representatives to the Moderators Advisory Committee, and potentially even in one case, I may organize a precinct meeting to help that precinct if nobody steps forward to select somebody to serve on the Moderators Advisory Committee. I'd like to get that set up ideally by mid-August,
Right.
and by the end of August, I'd like to move into interviews, because I know that particularly when it comes to the Warrant Committee and the Comprehensive Capital Budget Committee, those people are going to be starting work fairly early in September. So I'd like to get those appointments and the reappointments. We'll have some reappointments.
By the end of August, you think?
Or at the absolute latest by the first week in September.
Okay, well, that'll keep you busy.
Yeah, it
But
will.
in the meantime, you've got a few town meetings under your belt. Well, the one town meeting that went on for many days, and this one town meeting that seemed to go on for many days. The
But it was
special
just one night.
Right. So, is there anything that jumps out at you as something you weren't prepared for at any of these meetings?
So in terms of actually managing those meetings, I think preparation is key. I mean, I've really put a lot of energy into being organized. I sort of script out the flow that I expect, as well as some potential contingencies for what might happen if somebody, for example, moves to end debate or moves to make a simple amendment or things like this. So I have the meetings fairly well scripted in front of me as I'm managing them, and beyond that, it's really just trying to make sure that people stick within the time limits for speech, because we want to give everybody a fair chance to be heard. And if somebody takes more than 3 minutes, then they're really depriving somebody else of the time to be heard.
Well, would you say that's challenging? What would you say is most challenging so far for you?
Well, I will say that the most challenging thing, at the very beginning, I didn't anticipate how much anxiety I would have about getting up on the stage at the annual town meeting. And really experienced a lot of anxiety about it. But I think what really was key to working through it was just being organized. And so by the time we got to that first night, I was actually relaxed when I got up there. And we had some technical issues, and that just helps remind you, or remind me, that everything is not fully under my control, and it can't possibly be, so let's just try to make what we can of this and make it as productive as possible. And so that's kind of been my philosophy, and I think it's worked.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that. I know this most recent town meeting was fully remote. And why do you think that is? Why did they decide that?
The select board made that choice, and they did it with my recommendation. It's easy, especially for a one-night town meeting, which this special town meeting was. It's easier and less costly for the town to manage than having an in-person meeting or even a hybrid. And another thing too is that, it's the middle of the summer, people are away, and you want to give, even town meeting members who may be on vacation or off at a summer home, you want to give them a chance to participate that they may not have if you went with an in-person option. And so I think everyone agreed that it was just the best choice for a one-night town meeting. And less costly, for sure.
Okay. And the reason they couldn't have it in October? What was the reason they couldn't wait until the fall?
So we had a situation in which the Vigliarolo family, the petitioners for keeping the name of the rink on the new building, they collected too many signatures. We have not published any good guidance about this, and I would say that this is something that I want to correct. I think Ellen O'Brien Cushman is on vacation right now, but when she's back, I would like to work with her on getting a piece of guidance posted that clearly illustrates, if you'd like to file a citizen's petition, depending on the number of signatures that you collect and are verified, this is what happens. So we had a situation in which they collected more than 200 signatures, verified. It automatically triggers a requirement under state law for the select board to call a special town meeting within 45 days. And this was not the intention of the petitioners at all. They thought they were filing and expected that this would be added to the special town meeting coming up in October.
I see.
But everyone consulted with town council, and town council really advised that you've got no choice. There's no wiggle room here under state law.
Okay. Well, I know that there was considerable debate about this Vigliarolo citizens petition, and that was to retain the name of the Skip Vigliarolo building. I mean, the new building, to retain the old building's name.
That's right.
And am I right that debate went on for about, well, there was an amendment, there was an amendment that was filed at the very last minute. Some felt it was out of scope with the article. You ruled that it was still within scope, and then there was, I think, 3.5 hours of debate just on the amendment alone. Am I correct?
Not exactly.
There was considerable debate just on that amendment. But
so first of all, I do thank Steve Rosales for having filed his point of order in advance, so that I knew it was going to happen. And
yes, I read that point of order, and I kind of see. I mean, I understand what he's saying. So how come it was still allowed?
Well, so without going into all of the reasons, I will say this: I consult with town council on things like this. I read, I study the relevant portions of town meeting time, which is really the rule book for parliamentary procedure for our town meeting. And I came to a decision. Now it was a decision that was consistent with what our town council told me was within the realm of the reasonable. That said, I will say that it's really a decision that could have gone either way. You could make a decision the other way, and it would have been as correct as the decision that I made. I mean, there were both permissible outcomes.
Okay.
I made the decision that I made because I thought it was important to have the full range of debate. And
Well, you sure did get that.
and we did, but another thing that I did to try to manage that, so because I knew that amendment would take up a lot of time, and it was important for people to be able to discuss the actual citizens petition itself, and so I sort of went beyond ordinary procedure, although it's permissible. And I consolidated the debate for both the amendment as well as the citizens petition, so that we had a fulsome debate of the entire package of options before us. And yes, it did take a lot of time, but I think that was because so many people wanted to be heard on all sides of the issue, including the people who were in favor of keeping the name of the rink, the people who were interested in subjecting the naming of the rink to the new select board naming policy for town assets,
Right.
as well as the people who wanted more time to make a decision and felt that this was the wrong time to be making this kind of decision. So we heard from people all across the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
It was a long debate, but
Very long.
but
But I
in
guess
the end, town meeting spoke.
they did speak, but before we get into that, there was a motion filed, made by Jeff Lubian to actually table this until the fall, which was defeated. Why did that motion come so late? I mean, in the meeting,
Yeah.
is that because he was at a certain point in line and
Yeah,
he couldn't get to the?
so while I consolidated the debate, procedurally, you can't consolidate the procedures, and so by the time he made that motion, we had already had a motion, the formal motion on the amendment, and had entered discussion on.
Well, I guess the question is, why couldn't that motion have been made before? Why couldn't he have made it before all the debate about the actual citizens petition? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
Is there any reason why that motion couldn't come before?
Technically he could, but if I had been advised in advance that there was such a motion, I might have tried to make some room for it.
Oh, I see. So you didn't know it was coming?
No, I didn't. I didn't know it was coming.
Oh,
And since we'd already procedurally entered the debate, procedurally we'd moved into consideration of the amendment. It was already. We would have to turn back procedurally to the citizens petition
Okay.
In order to hear such a motion.
There's so many rules. How did you learn all these rules?
Well, you have to become familiar
Yeah.
with town
Yeah.
meeting time, and it's something that I tried to do
Yeah.
as a town meeting member. And obviously, I think in preparation to be moderator, you have to have even a more thorough knowledge than that, or at least than I had. But
Yeah.
you have to read and develop the familiarity, and I think that having had the experience of a couple of different town meetings now, the experience also helps to reinforce what you
That's
know
true.
through other means.
Well, now the decision that was made, obviously the citizens petition, everyone voted in favor of that. The majority voted in favor of naming the rink Skip Vigliarolo.
Right.
But this vote is non-binding and advisory. Is that correct?
That's right.
So, what does that mean? And why couldn't it be a binding vote? Like, why was it non-binding?
So this is something that I think that we had to listen to town council. Legally, who does the naming of town assets belong to? And in the opinion of town council, that's something that belongs with the select board. And so can town meeting come along and legislate away or in some ways impose itself on something that is the responsibility and the right of the select board, and effectively no. Now, town meeting certainly can speak and give advice, and that's what a non-binding
I get it. Okay.
motion, the passage of a non-binding motion is effectively. It is advice to the select board, and then it's up to the select board as to what they do going forward.
Okay, so now we have to see what's going to happen next with that. We do have, a little bit of time left to talk about the upcoming town meeting this fall. What are the hot button items that are going to be on the warrant for this town meeting?
Well, I can't speak to all of them, but I think that there's a good chance that we will still see the Belmont Center overlay district, which is a rezoning, coming
Yes.
before town meeting.
Right.
And I don't know how that will play out.
Well, you probably know that will be debated heavily.
Oh, I know, and so obviously we'll have to allocate sufficient time for that to take place. I know that there are other potential issues coming to town meeting, but I actually don't know all of them. There are some financial articles. There are a variety of things that are coming in October.
Do you have the dates for this?
So I can tell you that it begins October 20th, and I have at least 2 of the other dates recorded in my phone, in my pocket.
So you think it'll be like 2 nights or 3 nights?
So they initially allocated 3. I think the select board now believes that it will need 4 nights for all of the business that the select board plans to put before town meeting. So
how will you be preparing for this upcoming town meeting?
Well, so once I have more information, I will, of course, be developing a lot of familiarity with everything that's coming before this town meeting. I'll have to be working with presenters on slides. We sort of have a set of standards for slides, and they aren't always clear to people, and I don't know who's communicated those standards in the past, but I always try to communicate what are sort of some of the minimum types of things that you have to keep in mind as you're developing slides for your presentation. I have to talk with the presenters about what kind of time they think they need, and I have to make judgments about what kind of time to allocate for presentations, because we know that we'll spend a lot of time in debate. It is important that they get out as much fact as possible during the presentations, but it's all a balancing act.
It sounds like this is a full-time job that you have.
So it's not a full-time job all of the time, but I was on a vacation theoretically before this last special town meeting that we had this week, and I had to be paying attention to email, and I was working. I sent out a couple of emails through Ellen Cushman. She's been great to work with, and then I was back 2 days before the special town meeting, and then just consumed with the preparations and making sure that I was on top of everything that I needed to be on top of. And by the same token, I would say that, probably the month before an ordinary town meeting, like the annual town meeting, that does become a full-time job for that month.
I'm sure.
It certainly does.
Will this upcoming town meeting be hybrid, in person?
So the moderator doesn't actually control that. I can make recommendations.
What are you
and
going to recommend?
I'm going to recommend that the upcoming fall town meeting be hybrid, because
Nice.
we've just heard from so many parents and some elderly folks and other folks who worry about things like their being immune compromised, that this works for them. It's easier for them. You know, after this after the Springtown meeting, one parent sent me a really cute photo of him and his toddler attending
really?
attending the town meeting remotely at the computer.
Oh, that's really funny.
Very cute picture, but it does highlight that, you know, some parents really do need to do childcare at the same time that they're trying to attend town meeting, and going hybrid allows for that. And so I anticipate continuing to recommend, at a minimum, that we continue with hybrid town meetings going forward.
Well, that's something that never existed before COVID. Am I right?
That's true, and
Wow.
and the state has passed a number of laws that have extended our ability to offer hybrid or remote town meetings. We're currently authorized through, I don't recall the month in 2027, but my fervent hope is that the state legislature will renew that and perhaps even make it permanent, because it just makes it easier for so many people in the community to participate as town meeting members, and we need for them to participate. Otherwise, we risk that town meeting isn't fully representative.
Okay. I think I have time for one more question. What do you like about your new role? What do you like about being town moderator?
So people keep asking me if I'm enjoying it or if I like it. And, you know, so in terms of pure enjoyment, no, it's not enjoyable. It's work. but I enjoy being engaged. And so in that sense, I really find that being the town moderator is a way to feel engaged in the community, to feel as though I'm making a difference, and you know, I hope that others feel that too. But that's the kind of enjoyment that I have.
Well, thank you, Mike. We're out of time. I want to thank you for coming on the show. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. This is Belmont Journal. Until next time.